Hello, thank you for joining me. What I'd like to do in this video is show you how to get things set up in Revit architecture. We're right now into week number 4, the end of week 4, and we're doing our prep work for week number 5. And what we like to do in Revit architecture, unlike AutoCAD and other programs similar programs like SolidWorks, where you want to set up your own template files, with Revit architecture, at least right now, and because it's so well developed, the template files we're going to be using the template files that come with the program. So all we have to do when we start a new project is just go to the New button. The reason you want to do that is because the template files associated with Revit architecture right now are fairly well developed. They have all the standards that are typical of putting together construction drawings, and complete with symbols and text sizes and text fonts that are typical of what you would see in projects like that. So let's go to the New button, click on New. Might take a few minutes for it to load, but that went pretty quick. And basically, when you're starting a Revit project, you kind of think about maybe up here in the upper left-hand corner as being where you want to start with things. And when you start in the ribbon, it starts with the Home tab in the ribbon. And you basically want to start from the left to the right and top to the bottom. That's the way it typically works. So the first thing you run into is a wall. You'll notice that right now we're on a floor plan. If you go down here to the Properties palette, we're starting with the floor plan, which is our first floor plan. And that's all we see right now. It automatically defaults to that because the expectation in Revit is that you're going to start your project by drawing walls. After you draw walls, you probably put in a floor and then interior walls and windows and doors and so on and so forth. Basically, that's kind of the format that you're going to follow as you go from the left to the right. So let's choose walls. Click on the wall button. You'll notice that the Properties palette now changes from that view. It was giving us properties of that view, which is our first floor plan, and now it's going into a basic generic wall. And we could choose a different wall here if you like, just by scrolling that down and pick some of the stock items that are inside the Revit library that is embedded into the program. But we're going to stick with a generic 8-inch wall for now, just for demonstration. And again, just to kind of follow the format I just mentioned, you want to start from the top of your Revit interface up here and work your way down. And this is a test question, by the way. I mentioned this in class. Know your Revit user interface here. Know what the ribbon is, know what the quick access toolbar is, and application menu and other things. Know all those things, so when I talk about it here in these videos, you know what I'm talking about. But more than anything else, you want to make sure that you understand these for your test. So you start from the top to the bottom. Let's go back up to our ribbon and see what it's chosen for us. We've gone from the Home tab over here all of a sudden all the way over to here to the Modify Place Wall tag. One thing you want to make sure over here you have selected is the line button. The line button will allow us to draw lines out here, which are eventually going to represent our wall. The next thing you want to go is your options bar, and you want to make sure that all the settings in here are what you want. Right now we have default settings of an unconnected 20-foot wall. Let's go ahead and make that up to level number 2, and it'll go from level 1 to level 2. The wall location line, we don't want necessarily the center line of a wall, but let's choose the core face exterior of the wall. That's going to be chosen more often than not in this class, because typically that corresponds to where the floor is going to be anyways. You have to build the floor first, then you put the walls on the floor, and typically use the core face exterior as a way to place your wall when you're putting walls together in construction. You want to make sure it's chain. Chain means that when you draw a line up and draw a line out horizontally, that those two lines are going to join, they're going to be chained together, kind of like a polyline in AutoCAD. Offset, you don't want to do any offsets right now, but let's say you have some existing geometry and you want to draw a line that would represent a wall that might be 20 feet from an existing geometry that you have there. That would be appropriate for that. That's a quick and easy way to do it. And we're not going to put any radiuses on it. If we did, we'd be able to draw a curved wall, but we'll cover that in another video. So, went from the ribbon to the options bar down to the Properties palette, and a lot of the items that we selected up here are also selected down here in the Properties palette. We're going to go from the core face exterior, and we're going to go from level 1 up to level 2. If you just press your cursor over there, it actually shows it. And we don't have a top offset, so we're about ready to draw. One thing to take note is our project browser. You'll notice that level 1 is highlighted here. This is a stock, default names for all of our levels. We have level 1 and level 2, and as we proceed through our videos here, and you proceed through your projects, you're going to be creating your own special named layers, where the first floor, second floor, roof layer, basement, foundation layer, or whatnot. We're going to create all sorts of different levels And we're going to be doing that in elevations. We'll save that for another film. So let's go ahead and draw our wall. One thing you want to keep in mind when you go into the drawing area is you want to draw that line, horizontally or vertically, but you also want to make sure that you're drawing that line in a clockwise direction. And I'll demonstrate that here in just a minute. You also notice that the resolution of the listening dimensions that are coming out are right now in just whole foot units, but if you scoot in just a little bit closer, you notice that the resolution gets a little bit finer. That's a test question, by the way. Know that as you zoom into a line or anything else you might be drawing in Revit architecture, the closer you get to it, the closer the resolution becomes. You go from whole foot units to whole foot and half foot units to maybe inch units to half inch units, quarter inch, eighth inch, and so on and so forth as you get closer to it. So now, right now we're close enough that it's 1 foot and half foot increments. So we're going to draw a line out maybe 30 feet. So we'll draw that line up about 30 feet. It's in there somewhere. Draw a line over. We'll just make a somewhat of a square. And just like with AutoCAD, we can pick up that polar tracking, that horizontal line, that dashed line that you could see, and bring that over, and we'll connect our walls, and that completes it. If you click on the wall, you notice you have symbols. Remember I was telling you to draw clockwise? If you don't draw clockwise and you see this symbol here, it looks like a couple arrows, one going up, one going down. It actually allows you to change that wall's orientation as it shows. And to make sure that our wall is on the inside or the outside, you want to make sure that these arrows are on the outside. So I think that's enough for this video. Go ahead and get started on things in Revit and join me for the next video.